you leave people better than you found them. And if that's my mom always taught us, like, you leave things better than you found them.
Absolutely.
And if you do that with your friendships, your relationships, with your business partnerships, no matter how much they may take your name through the mud, like, you leave them better than you found them, and
you come on
you always come clean.
You will always come out better. Absolutely. On the other side.
No, I agree 100%.
Like, you had it easy in the 2019 to 2022 market. Well, now everything's changed again. So what can you do? Like, are you going to just be complacent like the agents that got comfortable and don't answer their phones? Or are you going to take over and step aside and really keep your name up? I like when the bad markets come around because it kind of weeds out all the inefficiencies and
it's kind of bad to say, like, I can't wait for that harder market because this isn't a when I got into real estate, there were 1,400 realtors in the entire upstate.
5,000?
Now there's somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000.
Yeah, that's insane. And it's still getting...
It's nuts.
Yeah.
And those people, like... so many people got their license because, well, it's an easy paycheck, or I can set my own schedule. And I'm like... it's really not as easy as you think, and so on. And what this market has become for the real estate agent is this is a skills-based market. Like, you got to know how to do your job.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it's going to be like this market will pick you up, chew you up, and spit you back out again.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think it's really important to just realize that, you know what, back to what I originally said, align yourself with the right people and people that are going to support you and encourage you and build you up. And when the days are rough, like, they keep you on the straight and narrow.
Keep you focused.
Sure. So you said you touched on it earlier about how Haro told you that it was super important to have a coach and assistant.
Yeah.
And you said you still have a coach. Is that...
I do.
Okay. So is that something you're probably going to carry with you through your whole career? And do you level up your coach?
Oh, I love this. So I have actually, over the course of the last couple of years, had many coaches.
Yep.
Not just the one. Mm-hmm. So I think you need to have that, like, that ride or die coach. Like, you can text message and be like, oh man, it's hitting the fan. Like, what do I do? But then you also need them to, like, celebrate you and so on. But what happens whenever, like, I have a coach right now that is for my general real estate team. At different points in my career, I have had a coach for a life, like my life coach. Mm-hmm. I've had a coach for social media. I've had I'm looking currently for a coach for YouTube, somebody who really knows the platform and can kind of walk me through that. At one point in my business here in the last 5 years, I've had about 3 or 4 coaches at any one time.
Yeah.
And I will always have a coach.
Yeah.
I never have arrived. And my coach has been my highest ROI year over year.
For sure.
That was going to be one of my hot seat questions is what's your biggest return on investment?
That one, right there, my coach. And let me, and let me
already.
let me show you my numbers. Okay. Yeah. So let's just kind of drive home the point. My coach costs me, and my assistant has a coach too. I pay for hers too.
That's awesome.
So, my coach alone costs $12,000 a year. She gave me one pointer, just from one of my phone calls with her back in December of 2020. We implemented it January of 2021. By the end of 2021, I had made $125,000 off of that $1,000 phone call.
That's awesome.
Then this year we made $65,000 off of it. And my people, like, I will, because I'm being a business owner, like, if they want to coach and they get to a level that I can justify paying for it, I will pay for a coach for every single member of my team.
That's how
when they get there. It is so, so important.
Yeah. I pay for, so we got my operations manager a coach and we have our sales manager a coach. And it's just such a drastic difference. And it kind of takes pressure off of me a little bit because now they have a point of contact before me. So like they have a question. Now they can reach out to their coach.
Yeah.
And then, but it depends on the question. Like if it's like an important business, obviously they come to me, but it gives me a little bit of layer of shield. And it also like shows them like, hey, I care about you enough, like where I want to bring you up, whether you're here or not.
You're investing in them.
So let me ask the both of you then.
It's huge.
What's your way of vetting a coach? Because that's one thing I've seen, especially since moving to Greenville.
Yeah.
Everybody is a coach and everybody's touting something. So is it just a sales pitch or what are you looking past to see like, okay, that's a good coach. That's somebody that we can put on.
I'm a little different. So I don't keep the same coach. I like to cycle through coaches because I feel like I grow through the years.
Yeah.
And every time I grow,
I've cycled through as well.
Every time I grow, I want to grow my coach. So like whatever I do is I look at somebody that's maybe like 3 or 4 times bigger than me. And then that's who I want. And then when I get to another level, I do the same thing. So I try to surround myself with people that I idolize and that are, you know, substantially doing what I want to do essentially in the next year or two. And then, you know, I just go through it.
Okay.
Yeah. Same thing. Like I've cycled through several coaches and I want my coach to always be, you know, about 2-3 steps ahead of me.
For sure.
And when they're doing that, now, whenever I'm deciding on a coach, I've had some bad coaches.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Me too.
And like those, but I'd say like I didn't say they were not the right coach for me until I coached with them for about 2-3 months. I wanted to like, cause there's a groove you get into with a coach, and kind of learning each other. You're not there to be friends.
Yeah.
Like it's that you got to protect that relationship, but I want them to be able to like, and I think if you're looking to hire your first coach or your next coach or something like that, like a little bit of introspection is really important. Like I went through 2 really hard, like they just weren't the right coaches for me. And I was just like, you know what, whatever. I'm not going to do this. Like I'm not going to have a coach. I'll just figure it out on my own. But then I had somebody who was like, Aubree, like, let me try to help connect you and let's really find out what's important to you. And I sat back and I bullet point things.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's important to me? And I was like, dang, I want a coach who's going to be able to, you know, chew me up, spit me back out and tell me the hard stuff.
For sure.
And if they can't do that, and at the end of the day, me still be thankful for them, then they're not the right coach.
Absolutely.
And so that's my coach currently she does that to me. And sometimes she wipes the floor. And I'm like, oh, dang, that hurt. But then, you know, I come out on the other side stronger, better, everything.
Thankful. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And same thing for my employees. Like those, like, I don't put my employees with a coach that I don't have some sort of relationship with because, and I don't know if you do this, Chris, I was going to ask you this. Like I'll go and I say like, I'm going to go tattle on them basically. But if I have something that I'm noticing that my team member is doing, and I'm like, man, this is a coaching thing. It needs to be fixed. I'm the leader. Like I should be the one to fix it. No, not really. Like actually their coach is going to be better at handling this conversation. Sure. So we use an app called Marco Polo. And I will Marco Polo my assistant's coach, director of ops coach. And I'll be like, look, this is happening and this needs to be fixed. And right now I'm hot, like I'm a redhead and, you know, I'm going to come in temper flared and I need you to put this in the right context and fix it. And she does. Like that's what we do. And cause I've learned, like I've come in hot and, you know, holy crap, like what are you doing?
Sure.
And I've got a temper and a half.
For sure.
And pushing it through coach, just beautiful.
So much easier.
Smart. Eliminates emotion too. Yeah, that's smart. I didn't think about it that way. I think that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
No, I do the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it just takes the tension out of the work situation too, because now like really they don't even know that you've talked to the coach essentially, like to talk
Yeah.
about that issue. So it's not even like.
But if you gave them that hard time, then it's awkward for a little while, or they might take it different. I had a guy quit over something similar. He thought I was being wrong to him, but I really wasn't. I was just trying to like bring up thing, and then he was like, "All right, well, I don't appreciate that." It's like
something I've really had to work on too is like how I put space in between situations.
Oh, dang.
So like being a business owner, like that's my baby. Like for example, for me, Swamp Rabbit Movement is my baby. So if somebody messes up in Swamp Rabbit Movement, I take it personal.
Yeah.
Or I used to take it personal, and I would react right away. Like I would say something right away, and almost 9 times out of 10, I would regret how I talked to one of my team members. But now, like as I've learned through the process, and I've learned like their intentions were not bad. It was just a dumb mistake. And so now that I've learned to put like space, like I don't ever react to a situation unless I've had like an hour or two to think about it. Like I just won't do it.
Yeah.
I think there's a fine line of waiting too long to react, but there's also a fine line of reacting too fast.
Yeah.
So I found like waiting like an hour or two and like really thinking about it really helps the situation.
That's pretty smart.
Definitely.
Yeah, that first initial reaction is never usually good.
Yeah.
It's usually coming from a bad place.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, you make your decision from different places depending on how fast you react. Like your quick impulse decisions are from like your cortex or whatever. And
it's like, that's where I was
There's a
at
whole
this morning.
science behind
I
it.
felt that way this morning. I was like, I'm just not going to respond. I was kind of upset with an employee, and I was like, I'm just not going to respond. If I respond, it's going to be like, you know what, sit at home
just give them
for the rest of your life. I'm done with you. I was just like, all right, let's just go do this podcast and not answer, and we'll talk about it later.
Yeah. I mean, to that point, and I was talking to Chris earlier about this, like, and just to tell you, like, my last 3 years of building this business has not been easy.
Yeah.
I have either had agents or employees come to me and say they wanted to leave and move on, or I've had to fire them. And I've been through like 9 different agents just in 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's rough.
Yeah.
And being able to like say, this is my baby and so on. One of my biggest takeaways just from being a business owner that has people and like, I pay people salaries. They go and buy houses off those. That's the scariest thing, by the way. I've had 2 people do it, and I'm like, oh my word, I'm practically paying for your house. In exchange for you to work for me.
Now
Yay.
I'm more responsible.
Around Christmas time, I'm like, oh God.
Oh
like,
my goodness.
Responsible for all these people.
All of it. But it's like, I'm, being able to, what's important and the standards that you put into place. And I've done just that where, responded too quick or too slow. That is me to a T, and learning, okay, what is the correct pace of leadership? And that's what it is. It's the pace of leadership, and being able to discern the right words, the right things to say, the right ways to act. And it always completely, it blows my mind how people act.
Yeah.
Especially when it's your business, it's your baby. And like you have standards in place of like why you are in business and why you build that business up to do the things that it does and do them well.
Yeah.
Like that's why we're here. And whenever they're not done well or they're not held to where they need to be, then you make that decision. And I think that's been the hardest thing I've ever learned in business and in this career field, and being a woman in business. I had an experience this last year that up until 2022, I ran a 100% female team.
Okay.
And just all women.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're going to girl boss it. And boss up, bitch up. Here we go.
Girl power.
And like that's it. But like, so I hired 2 gentlemen to my team this year.
Yep.
And I think they are wonderful human beings, but not on my team. and it's one of those things that like I learned something very important.
For sure.
Like I'm not going, and I don't know if we'll not bring other men onto the team or if it's just a man thing. I'm not sexist, I swear.
It just has to be it has to be the right one.
But we have JR on the team.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those where if anything, personnel, like people is the hardest thing because you build those relationships. I don't want to, like, you say something and you go, dang, like,
get offended or something. Yeah.
it wasn't the right thing.
Yeah.
Back and forth. And protecting that culture of your business is so important.
So important.
It's tough.
So,
Especially when you do get to that bad spot with them and then they go out and run their mouth, or if they're part of the same community that you are and stuff, and you're like, hey, well, didn't really, that's not how it went down.
that's not how it went down.
There's always two sides to the story,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's the toughest thing. I've had a lot of problems navigating that. I did that last year. I like offended somebody and I didn't mean to, and he took it personally and gave me this whole sermon. I kind of took it home like, oh yeah, maybe I can see where he's coming from, but at the same time I was like, nah, I'm not.
Yeah.
That's his problem. Take it home.
It's all a learning process.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
People's difficult.
Yeah. And I think, and again, at the end of the day, you look at it, and if your goal and if where's your heart, and you leave people better than you found them. And if that's my mom always taught us, like, you leave things better than you found them.
Absolutely.
And if you do that with your friendships, your relationships, with your business partnerships, no matter how much they may take your name through the mud, like, you leave them better than you found them,
Yeah.
and
You come on
You
point
always
top.
come clean. Yeah.
you will always come out better on the other
Absolutely.
side.
No, I agree 100%. So now we're going to jump into the hot seat questions. Aubree, tell me about the worst client you've ever had besides the time you got sued.
Oh man,
You don't have to say any names.
Yeah.
the worst
Just give us some
client.
deets.
The worst client I've ever had. Oh dang, I'm gonna have to think about that for a second. Thankfully, there hasn't been too many.
Mhm.
I think it was actually not my personal client. So in a transaction, we have two sides.
Yeah.
And basically, we had a deal that there was nothing wrong with it. It definitely should have gone through without a hitch.
Yeah.
But it's one of those when the other side's realtor says, well, I've been doing this for 30 years and, so on and so forth. And then
Yeah.
their client kind of is trampling all over the realtor and making decisions that don't make sense
Yeah.
because they're emotional and so on. I think that's, I've had buyers that do that too, where they just make the emotional decisions and they're not listening to me. And it's like, okay, you are so much worse. Like it's worth it for me to leave you.
Yeah.
And I have only in my entire career, I've only had to fire one seller. That would probably be the absolute worst.
You had to actually fire them?
I had to fire them. Yeah. So it's a two-way relationship between a realtor and a client.
Absolutely.
Client can fire the realtor. Realtor can fire the client too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I had listed her house and I showed it every single day. At minimum twice for a full month.
Jeez.
Every single day. And I knew we were overpriced, and she would call me every day screaming at me. Like screaming. I would just put down the phone without it on speaker to talk to her because she was so upset with me over not doing my job.
Oh my goodness.
So that's fine. She went through about 5 realtors and sold 2 years later. So
For cheaper.
no, for the price that she wanted, but it took 2 years to appreciate that.
It always comes clean.
Yep. So there's my worst.
Well, really,
client.
she did sell it for cheaper, right? If you factor in appreciation.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was the most monumental moment in your career? Like, what was like a good, like,
Oh man.
aha moment in your career where you're like, man, I really love what I do, or
I have a
hate what I
goal.
do, whichever one.
Yeah. So I had a goal of accomplishing something. I keep a 3x5 card in my wallet with my my crazy audacious goals, the things that I think are just absolutely out, like almost out of reach for me. And so I got to accomplish one in 2021.
Awesome.
I had written down on that 3x5 card that I wanted to speak on stage at Mega Camper Family Reunion, which are the two Keller Williams national,
Yeah.
sometimes worldwide conferences. And I got to be interviewed by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Who are, our leaders of Keller Williams, about just something that I was doing in the business really well. And I have never been so nervous in my entire life, but I got to do that virtually throughout COVID. And it was so cool to see, like, I had written something down that I thought was impossible, and I got to accomplish it.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
That is really cool.
What's their biggest ROI for leads? Like, what do you think is the best source of leads for you and your team?
YouTube.
YouTube?
Oh,
Nice.
yes.
So that way you're pushing stronger to that.
It is actually my one regret in business, in my career, that I didn't start it about 3-4 years ago, whenever I attempted to. In 2022, I made a resolution, which I don't normally do. And I was like, dang it, I'm going to get into this and do it well. And I did. Started recording in March, started the channel in May. I've had a 2,000% return on the money that I've made, that I spent to do the videos, and sky's the limit. So if you're listening to this, you need to go subscribe to it.
Yes, it is a great channel, and your YouTube videos are amazing.
Cool.
Thank you.
I'll have to check
They
them out.
really
Check
are.
a couple out. But I saw the one that you guys did together.
Yeah. So it's just my name, Aubree Lewis, and we recently just eclipsed 1,000 subscribers.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So
Congratulations.
that's fun.
Congratulations. That's huge.
In 2023, my big goal is to 10x it
Heck yeah.
and to make it 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2023.
Wait,
Awesome.
You get plaques a certain amount of subscribers, don't you? Like,
Yeah, I guess.
You
Maybe
about
I'll
to get one?
I
be cool.
Are you going to make one for me? I mean, 1,000 subscribers?
Where's the start at?
Maybe.
That's cool, though.
That is really cool.
So if there's one
It's a really
thing
good video.
that you could tell a new realtor,
Yeah.
one thing to do to help them get through whatever, it might be school or just getting started, what would you say?
Find yourself a good mentor. Like, there's a lot of people out there that talk a big game. I run across them way more often than I care to say. So how do you kind of weed through all the people, all the sound, oh yeah, I can help you do this and I can help you do that, and I know how to do that and I can help you no, like if anybody wants to talk to me, like, it's probably something else that I do and I don't even realize I'm doing it, is if you're going to be my mentor, then where have you been? Where are you currently? Where are you going? And if I ask you a question like, I want to see your track record, find that mentor. Don't settle for somebody who looks good and sounds good and like has the shiny things.
Sure.
It's so easy to get distracted. Find an agent who's been in the business, I would say, more than 3 or 4 years at least. If they've been through a market shift, even better. Make sure that they sell a decent number of homes. Like, put a time on their calendar and hold to it. Like, stay after them, because realtors that are busy, that are at the top of the game, live their life by their calendars. Don't get distracted by the mentors that call themselves a mentor or a coach. You need to make sure that, do they have a P&L? Can they show it to you? Can they talk through it? It's become so much more important to me now that, like, if I'm going to talk this talk, I better walk it and be really good at it. So that's what I would tell a brand new
Yeah, I
agent.
think that's great. Yeah, because you do see a lot of that, especially in the real estate game. Everybody's trying to sell you something. So.
Everybody.
Everybody's top dog.
Well, yeah, everybody's a top producer and
Oh, yeah.
has plaques, and everybody's trying to sell you something. And then
Top
you
producer.
look them up, and they're
you know,
not even an agent.
I'm in the top, 10% of realtors in the upstate, or in, I'm number 3 in my company for the area. I'm like, you sold 2 houses.
The big one now is the 100% commission guys. Those are the big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely.
this is
Plug
fun.
so give a little plug on how people can find you.
Oh, yeah. So it's super easy. You actually can just go to Google and Google my name, Aubree, with 2 E's, Lewis, and I will pop up. You will see the Aubree Lewis group. Go to YouTube, search my name, easy peasy there. My phone number is there, my email address, and you contact me in any of those forms, it'll get back to me one way or another.
That's awesome. Well, such a pleasure having you on.
Thanks for
thank you.
asking.
Thank you.
This is
Nice
fun.
meeting you.
Absolutely.
Good.
Cool.